Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the This Can Make Us Famous podcast, episode number two. Episode number two. I really like those crickets. I'm going to keep that going. You like it, Justin?
I like the crickets and the fact that we are almost uncomfortably close to each other.
That's funny.
Should I?
A little too. You're not honoring the social distancing.
Social distancing award goes
To me.
All right.
So, let's get this party started.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens.
All right.
You guys know where that's from. Have you seen the Tiger King? You haven't seen it yet, Justin.
I've been boycotting it with my eyes.
Ah, man.
Drink break. It's been a long show so far. I need to quench my thirst.
So, no, the Tiger King is one of the most craziest shows I've ever seen, dude. It's okay. So, people were telling me, "Man, you got to watch it. This is insane." I wasn't interested like you right now, currently aren't.
Right.
And then I watched the first episode, and oh my God, dude, it's insane. So after the first episode, then the second episode gets really, really crazy, and so it gets into like the guy Joe Exotic. He has like two husbands. He has two he has two husbands. And long story short, spoiler alert, I don't think any of them were actually gay. None of them were gay except for Joe Exotic. He just somehow was able to get them. Yeah, so
With a name like that, you kind of...
And he had tigers, so I'm sure. And okay,
the-
so the
were the
funniest
tigers
thing
gay?
about this, what I'm getting to, is that little voice that I played was a lady named Carole Baskin. And Joe Exotic despises this woman because he thinks that she was out to get him, which she was actually. She was trying to shut down the whole exotic animal industry where people were owning like the wild tigers and all that stuff.
See, I always kind of wanted an exotic animal myself. I know I would never be able to take care of it. I mean, I probably couldn't take care of a gerbil, but the idea is sexy.
Yeah,
Can I say that? Is that
you can. I think you can.
with one X, sexy?
Yeah, with
1X.
1X. No, so anyway, she was trying to shut down this industry. The craziest thing though is she was no better than any of them. So she was doing the same thing as them, but with her own little twist. She was getting people to work for her for free. Like she had tons of people who have been working there for years for free. And she's making like millions of dollars on these tigers. And then she's going after all these other people. Well, as you watch the show more, you realize that this industry is crazy. Like these people that are involved in all this stuff.
Wait. So the exotic animal industry is crazy.
I mean, right.
That's crazy.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. But it's dude, it's a cult. Basically, they're just one big giant cult. Like this other guy, his name's Doc, and I can't remember Doc something. Anyways, he has like 5 wives, and they're all young. Like they come in really young, and they sleep with them, and then and so they get to, in return, they get to make like I think it's $100 a week or something like that. Don't quote me on that. I think it's $100 a week. So
That's a lot of money.
yeah, but they work from sun up to sundown, constant work, but these people stay there. They got them hooked because they become attached to these tigers. I mean, you can't just go anywhere to be with tigers. So and they live in this commune, like on this property,
Right.
with
so
all these
they're
tigers.
suffering from tiger attachment.
Yeah,
syndrome.
So absolutely, and so that's how he's got them. So I mean, some people I'm pretty sure leave, but anyway, so yeah, it just gets crazier and crazier as you watch it. But Carole Baskin, getting back to her, okay, this funny
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens.
That
Hey,
just
all you
cra-
cool
that
cats and
just
kittens.
cracks me up, dude. If you saw this, you would laugh your head off when you heard that. But anywho, so Carole Baskin supposedly killed her second
Mm-hmm.
husband and had him there. Well, Joe Exotic is very convinced that she fed him to the tigers, that she killed her husband, chopped him up to pieces, put him through a meat grinder, and
Mm-hmm.
then fed him to the tigers.
Nonetheless, somewhere there is the teeth of that husband in the poop of the tiger.
Well, and that's what they were talking about, that they would find it. And because of that,
Who
and
wants to
they
be on that
didn't.
search party?
But this happened years and years and years ago. And yeah, she got away with it. So everybody's pretty much convinced that Carole Baskin killed her husband. And I mean, it's pretty obvious. And then just seeing her throughout this show, man, she's so creepy. She is so creepy, dude. Like,
Carol, if you're listening, poison your husbands. It's much easier to hide.
yeah, well, she might have tried it and it didn't work out, but
He was too good. He was.
oh man, I could go on forever about Tiger King, but I don't want to spoil any more than what I've already spoiled for those that have not seen it. But yeah, so Tiger King, if you haven't seen it, you definitely want to check it out. It is really trippy, man. What a show. And you know what? The timing couldn't have been better for them because they released it
Yes.
right when the quarantine happened. And so all these people just became mega celebrities, dude. I'm telling you what, they like all over the entire world, people are talking about Tiger King.
And this would have never happened without the coronavirus. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Is
They got
the
lucky.
show does not deserve to be popular.
Do
It is
you
only made popular by a worldwide pandemic.
do you think they're getting paid? The people are on that show. Do you think they're getting paid for it?
I have no idea.
I've wondered that because I mean they have to give them something.
I'm
But-
not getting paid.
I mean they have to give them something to be on the show.
I'm sure the lawyers will figure that out.
Well, one of the guys on the show was one of Joe Exotic's husbands, and he was missing teeth, like really bad, dude. I'll have to show you a picture. I don't know if I can even show it legally to you guys, but
Show
I
me.
still got to figure out all that copyright stuff.
Show me illegally.
Let me see here. What is
Still
his
learning.
name? Oh, is it John? Yeah, John. Look at that.
Right on here.
So,
And he's missing the middle tooth. I mean, if you're gonna miss a tooth,
no. So he actually got new teeth though, and I think he was upset. I read this article where he was upset because they didn't, even though they filmed it, they didn't put that in the show with his teeth fixed. So, and that's expensive, man. I mean, you're talking thousands of dollars for getting your teeth fixed.
yeah, you got to buy some new teeth.
But he was ticked off because and I think what it is, it has to play into their narrative. So like they love that, that character of John in there with the missing teeth and the stereotypical redneck trailer trash, what you would call trailer trash, meth head kind of looking person. And they played into that instead of showing his redemption and all that. So I don't know. But not surprisingly, Carole Baskin is very ticked off about it because she says, she thought it was about exposing the industry. And it turns out now she's like the enemy of the world.
That's.
I mean, the world. It's insane.
you probably sue for libel if you can't.
Well, she probably will, and
prove
I'm
it.
sure that they factor that in, like into their budget. Well, lawsuit from Carole Baskins, that'll be $2 million, and we made $500 million on the show.
Quick thought about Carole Baskins. No relation to Baskin Robbins.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. Hey, all you cool.
Sorry, I just have to.
This cup is actually kind of hard to drink out of. It's really
It's painful. Is it cut in your?
rigid. Yeah, it's it's there and it's not. It's not like sharp 90-degree angles. So you got to be on your business and know how to drink.
We got to get better chairs.
I know how to drink.
Guys, I'm sorry. The last episode that we did, I realized that you could hear my chair when I move, and you could definitely hear his chair. So forgive us. The next episode, we will definitely have different chairs.
The chairs, unless we want to make the chairs characters in the show.
Yeah, what would you name your chair?
Squeaky.
Squeaky.
That's pretty bad.
Squeaky McSqueakers.
Squeaky McSqueakers.
Yeah, because yours is very, very squeaky.
Squeaky McFeltseat.
I'm almost tempted to go and pick up that folding chair and not hit you with it, but swap it out.
5 seconds of chair squeaks.
That's pretty bad, dude.
Well, it's nice to know it's there.
Do you want to swap chairs, or are you okay with it?
I'm not into chair swapping.
Okay.
Not that kind of guy.
All right. Well, next time we'll fix that. But hopefully you guys like the new setup. I mean, we made some minor changes, and the lighting's better. You notice my nice, beautiful computer back there. I'm trying to figure out how to keep the desktop on because these fans in the front light up blue, and but unfortunately, it shows the screensaver, and I don't really want that, but we'll figure it out next time. The lighting hopefully is better. I got a new camera, which hopefully is better. Hopefully I said it right. So things should be just better this time. I
better
like that
all
word.
around. And there's the addition of the Lego Cup. Now, you might be asking, why is there a figuring woman on the side? There is probably women's groups right now organizing protests against me for trying to display the female in a, I don't know, servant only. I don't know what I'm saying. So, well, I kept it on because it kind of reminds me of my girlfriend, actually. Looks fairly similar.
Your microphone is like right on.
Right on my face, like the Rolling Stone. Yeah.
You see how far mine is and how clear it sounds?
I just want to be heard.
You're like, my name's Justin, and it's all about me. Podcast episode 25.
Yeah.
You smell that? I smell tacos.
They better. Are they eating tacos without us?
We're up in the attic, and my wife, my family is downstairs with Justin's girlfriend, and we smell tacos.
Jeez.
Dude, I love tacos. No, I know what it is.
Here.
It's that pork roast that my wife's making. Very
making pork
delicious. So anyways, in the news, it's crazy. Okay, so if you guys watched the last episode, we kind of joked about Kim Jung Un, and it was hilarious. Well, little did I know that Kim Jung Un would actually be in the news yet again. Old Kimmy boy is in serious condition. I guess he had heart surgery. And did you have the article?
I'm just pulling this off the top of my. Sorry, honey. I'm just pulling this off the top of my head. Let's see if South Korean government official told the country's Yonhap news agency. Yonhap.
Who's Yonhap?
That's a better story than his illness. That's the name of the news agency is Yonhap. That's probably a Korean name. Yes, he is apparently
in a life-threatening situation.
In grave danger, as the report says.
But you never know, man. You don't know I remember like a couple years ago, all of a sudden Kim Jong-un was like out of the picture. He wasn't like, no one's seen him like in over a month or so. And people thought he had been dead. And so there was all these rumors going around that Kim Jong-un's dead. Well, he definitely wasn't dead. But he does have bad health. Apparently his diet's horrible. He loves cheese.
The diminutive dictator's health has deteriorated in recent months due to heavy smoking, obesity, and overwork.
Overwork.
Q. Yeah.
Yeah. That abrupt
Tell you what he's working on. Working on missiles and
weapons of mass destruction.
or concubines, probably. Who knows what the illness? Sorry, dear. Who knows what the illness is actually from? I have my guesses. I think it's probably coronavirus. Wouldn't that be funny?
Ooh. You know, I didn't even think about that. Maybe he did get COVID-19.
Mm-hmm. Or
Who
COVID-18.
knows how bad it is in North Korea because they're very tight-lipped about everything. So you don't know, how crazy it is over there. I would imagine a country like that doesn't have, access to the modern technology that we have would suffer the worst if it got over there. And they border China, so.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, they're so border crazy that that's an
Right,
official
people are
term,
not
border
getting
crazy.
in there.
Yeah, then no one's going to be coming in to spread it. But at the same time, they probably have nothing to do in their economy except hang out together in small rooms with large numbers of people, and that spreads it more than anything else possibly can. Which segues into my next point, talking point for us here. I read an article that made a really good point that they had discovered that coronavirus doesn't spread really that easily from person to person casually, but rather in more close proximity over repeated exposure, like if you're in a lockdown situation. Think about that.
Well, I heard that that actually just happened to me yesterday. I went to go play that game Venice again, which I'm not supposed to technically because of social distancing, but that's how I hurt my finger in the first place. But
God's
anywho,
judgment.
so I was there with my friends, and we started talking about it, and I was like, man, I've read an article about this, and then they're like, no, man, I actually just read in an article about this. It's actually this way. And then I was like, no, I read in an article that is actually, no, this is definitely, it came from a lab in Wuhan, China. And they're like, no, I read in an article and it didn't come from a lab. And so we just kept going. That's funny. Here's the thing, man. Everyone's got opinions about everything. And especially with social media, it is like, gotten way worse. So you got a whole world full of people getting on social media, using the freedom of speech and just posting all these articles, and probably half of them are fake. And I've fallen victim to that, which reminds me of a hilarious story, Justin. This happened to me, talking about a humbling moment of my life. So I was on Facebook and I posted something about criticizing people about, hey, you got to watch, all these fake articles are going around all over Facebook and you got to just watch before whatever you post. Yeah. So, okay. So I did that. And then all of a sudden a friend of mine from high school commented under a post that I had posted like, I don't know, a week or two before. And it was a post saying that there was going to be a Forrest Gump part 2. And it was a fake article. And I was like, man,
that would be an interesting movie. I think I remember you telling me about Forrest Gump too.
Yeah, well, there should be, so that way that article is not fake.
Next thing you're going to tell me there's a Top Gun too.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Well, we need to talk about this, Justin.
Okay.
The economy. What do you think is going to happen with this economy?
Well, I tell you, it all depends on how soon we reopen the economy or not. You do another 3 months of even where we're at right now, and you're probably looking at a deep recession or even a depression, because it doesn't really take much movement in an economy to cause big ripple waves to happen. That's what happened in the late 20s, very late, 29 and then the 30s for the Great Depression. You have one event happen and it throws everything into turmoil for like 10 years. And I don't know if it would last that long, but people don't realize that the way it works, it's like if you drop something in a pond that's real heavy, and something real heavy is like 12 to 15 to 20% of the workforce instantly unemployed all at the same time.
Yeah.
With, at the same time, multiple businesses shut down, not bringing revenue in. That's a big deal. So it's like taking a pond. Now we've dropped a boulder in the middle of the pond, and everybody's sitting on the shores being like, see, the water's the same, but those ripples haven't gotten there yet.
Right. No, I love the ripple acknowledge, and I think, well, really, I mean, everything is just super uncertain. Like we just don't know what is going to come from all this. But I do know this: we have to get back to work because I'll tell you what, man, Justin.
I'm broke as shit.
I've been waiting for that button moment.
I built this whole talking point is for that button, isn't
Take it in.
it? Just give me my government money every month, $1,200. I'll be
Well, it sounds awesome, like the money that they're putting out there, but you got to think about it. Like, people are making more money on unemployment than they are when they did work.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you want to go back to work when you're making a fortune?
Mm-hmm.
So
I was fortunate enough to get, I talked about this before, but I was fortunate enough to get caught literally right in between two jobs when it started going
yeah,
down. And
that sucks.
technically that should qualify someone for unemployment, but I think I might qualify under the kind of newer conditions. However, I also think it's complicated to fill that out, and no one's hearing anything back. So,
Right.
yeah.
I don't know. Well,
What do you do?
yeah,
You drink.
you drink
Lego mug.
from a glass that says "Mom" on it.
What if Lego made beer and then they sold it in like plastic bottles that
That's a
look
good
like
idea. And
Lego?
Legos.
Might not be the right message for kids.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we got to think about that.
Yeah, I forgot about that part. Maybe in Europe.
I'm going to turn this down. Man, I got to get a new phone.
I was the first time. So I was in Europe, like in my teens, and we're riding along in the coach, which is the European word for bus,
Mm-hmm.
or the American word. I know that. Hopefully, you've already tuned the chairs out by now. Like,
It's driving me crazy.
well, like the trains going in the background. Has anybody heard the trains going in the background? Right, you've tuned it out. You haven't even thought about it.
Did you guys hear that screaming outside and the gunshots? Exactly.
We've tuned it out too. So I'm in this coach, which is the European word for bus, I think.
Yeah.
And we're in Germany at this point. You know, what happens in Germany stays in Germany. Yeah, we just pull into some kind of roadside cafe or whatever. And there's like a group of 16-year-old kids sitting around a table drinking beer. And this is a little bit of time ago. And so, I'm like, my Puritan meter just red leveled out. And at that time, I realized that there's more to beer than I thought. And then the next stop in Switzerland,
Switzerland.
they served it warm. I didn't have any, but they served it warm, and I'm like, what's going on here? What kind of continent is this? Hit the crickets.
I'm like, where are you going with this? Where are you going with this, Justin?
And that's my third story with no ending.
Yeah, well, thanks for wasting everyone's time.
On this episode, you'll find a lack of closure.
This redundant podcast.
So your coffee mug says "Mom" on it. Just notice. Excuse me, don't look. There we go. So your coffee mug says "Mom" on it.
Yeah, it does. I actually want to get ones made that say the name of the podcast.
Woman who bounces unconditionally.
It says, "Mom,
Loves
woman who
unconditionally.
loves you unconditionally, always caring, nurturing, and giving. A woman worth more than precious gold. She who must be obeyed."
Does it really say that?
Yeah. You must obey your mama.
Good thing I did.
Yeah, well. No, man, so I wish we could just start this whole year over.
Yes.
or just move on from it.
Yeah, you remember the beginning of the year? There were all the memes on Facebook. Thank God 2019's over. Now we're like,
Yeah,
I'd
little
sell
did
my
you know.
child to get 2019 back.
Oh man. No, so okay, 2020 has been crazy from the get-go for my family. So, like I think it was January 2nd. Yeah, no, January 1st. No, 2nd. It was 2nd.
Just 1.5.
It was one of those. It was one or
January 1.5.
2nd. So my wife got in an accident. There was a high-speed chase, and this person ran into our van, totaled it out, and so we had to deal with all that. I lost my awesome van. I'm glad I didn't lose my wife. Very happy for that. It could have been much worse, but
Yeah, you had a rocking trailer hitch on that van.
I had a great trailer hitch. There was a business that me and Justin were going to do together. It was called Move Mine for 149, and we were going to do small moves because I own a moving company, and he had worked in the moving business, and
for a mutual friend of ours.
yes, and he noticed that they were getting a lot of phone calls for people that only had a few items and they didn't want to pay full prices for a big moving company. And so he was like, hey man, and he had brought the idea to me. And I kind of thought it was crazy because I didn't think you could make money at it. His was Move Mine for 99. Was that?
And it eventually failed, so we didn't make money from it.
Yeah, right. So
so
I came back a couple months, like I think it was like 2 months later. I was like, you know what? I think that is a really good idea because I'm getting a lot of phone calls from my moving company. But what if we did this? What if we used a van, a cargo van, and what if we called it Move Mine for 149 instead of 99 because that gives a little bit more profit, whatever. It's still a really good idea. And that would suck if one of our listeners took that idea and ran with it and became mega successful.
Maybe we shouldn't have said it.
Well, maybe I could always edit that part out.
Right.
Anyways, It's a great idea. And I just don't. You can make good money owning a moving company, just like a lot of other businesses, but
And it's fun work.
It's stressful, especially when you own the business. You just don't know what to expect. Excuse me. The guys go out there and if you're not on the job, you're even more nervous and you're wondering if you're going to get a phone call from the customer. They're ticked off because this happened.
Something always breaks.
Yeah. And if a guy, I had never had a damage on my crew once, but I'd only lasted for about a year. I'm still owning the moving company, but since the quarantine, the businesses went to nothing.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I was always paranoid that the guys would call me or the customer and be like, dude, you won't believe what happened. This happened. And so that paranoia, that fear of the worst, and that comes with any business, but especially moving when you're handling people's, priceless possessions. It's crazy. I actually have a friend of mine. I ain't going to disclose their name because I know that it would upset them, but no, you don't actually. You don't. No, but it's someone I know that owns a moving company and has owned one for a long time, and they went through something pretty devastating, and their crew was on a move, and they had loaded a propane grill, and in the moving industry, you cannot load propane. You can load the grill, but you can't load the propane in there. And so you're always supposed to check and make sure there's nothing like that in there, nothing flammable. And the guys had put it in there, and I assume what happened is when they were loading the propane grill and trying to move it around, the customer probably left the propane on, and then somebody must have hit the igniter switch when they were moving it, and then it started, and that was the last thing on the truck probably. And they threw a blanket over it, and so they're driving down the road, and people are honking, and there's smoke pouring out of the truck. So they jump out, and one of the guys grabbed the grill and just launched it out of the truck. But of course, it was too late. Other stuff caught on fire. Long story short, people lost everything they owned. Gone.
It's terrible.
And it was like, it was horrible what happened. And so, when I heard that, I'm like, oh my God, dude. I mean, it could be, your whole world could turn upside down.
Yeah, you better have insurance.
Right.
that.
And that's really with anything in life, but no risk, no reward. But I realized I would rather make a living doing this right here. My gift is just babbling on about a whole bunch of nothing and hopefully one day getting paid to do it. What do you think, Justin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like the paid part.
Well, anyways, so I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm going to keep going forward with the moving company, especially after all this, but you got to make money, got to pay the bills. I don't know if I want to keep doing medical studies for the rest of my life.
Oh, you do medical studies.
Didn't we talk about that last time?
Did we?
Yeah, we did. You forgot.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, if you got, well, I don't know if maybe our listeners haven't heard because they watched like 3 minutes of our podcast and turned it off.
You check your analytics and it's like, okay, the average view was for 25 seconds.
The average view, it said, was 7 minutes.
It's longer than I
So,
think.
yeah, for a first episode, I think it's still god awful, but it's good. I mean, whatever. And podcasts are hard to keep people entertained because people are so quick and they want to watch one of those short clips, of someone eating the hot sauce and
Yeah, we went through podcasts, and the average length of an opener, if there even is one, is like 2 seconds.
yeah.
2-3 seconds. That's the attention span America has right now. Thank you.
Yeah.
3 seconds. So if we have a 2-second pause, it's
Yeah.
off.
Well, I thought that intro was pretty epic with the crickets.
Okay, everyone just turned it off. That was 2 seconds.
Man, no, so yeah, we'll have to work the kinks out. It's going to be an ongoing process, but eventually one of the ideas we had for the show is to do one skits. We may have a separate show within the channel of This Can Make Us Famous and call it something different where we just do skits. I kind of like that idea where it's all under that channel, but it's just a different thing. Because me and him, we have really good ideas on funny skits and like really funny ones. Should we tell them about the screwdriver one? Or should we wait?
Yeah, let's wait.
Okay.
Let's wait.
It may never happen, but you're going to always wonder about that screwdriver.
Yeah, I like the, I do. I like the intermix it idea, kind of the Conan method, where you've got talk show, but you've also got a little bit of sketch comedy like SNL.
Yeah. Because I love that kind of stuff. It's fun. You can be goofy. And we come up with a bunch of crazy stuff anyway every day. So
Pretty much.
yeah, we do a lot of talking and finally follow through.
So back to the whole Corona lockdown.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I've got to wonder how much of a hit Corona beer is taken. Right?
Let me think. Okay, so that wasn't in our first podcast. That was in a audio podcast that we did that we never released.
We could say whatever we want because no one watched that first one anyway. Thank you. This Lego piece is not fitting correctly.
No, Corona's got to be. If they could find a creative way to spin it.
That's going to take a lot of creative gymnastics. Would you like to remember your dead loved one? What better way than to drink away the memories with Corona beer?
Throw in a little lime and salt. Get it now while you can afford it before the economy collapses. No, I don't know, man. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say, man. I don't know what else to say. It's just the world is going crazy. I did talk to
It's crazy.
I talked to a friend of mine, and my whole view about the COVID-19, we just keep talking about it, but it's pretty relevant for today. Um, I kind of thought, this whole thing is just extremely over exaggerated and overhyped and all that. But I did have a good conversation with a friend of mine who lives in Texas, and he had told me that both of his parents have COVID-19 and they're in quarantine right now.
Huh.
And so, yeah, and so that's pretty surprising because I actually didn't know a single person that had it. So,
Well, and that's the thing. I don't know a single person that has it. There's obviously some people really do have it, but the average person in America doesn't know anyone that has it. And this is what I've been telling people day after day after day is eventually, if the economy stays shut down, if most of the people don't know anyone personally that even has it, they're going to start noticing the disparity, the difference, and they're going to get angrier and angrier because the whole thing was bought under the assumption that half of America will die if we don't do this. And if we do this, we're still going to lose 10% of America. So it's like we have to do this or else. And now we're getting to the part where the or else is supposed to show up. And
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think they're about to. It looks to me like they're getting ready to open the economy up again. So
there's 2-3 states that are was it Tennessee and Alabama or maybe Georgia that are opening up the parts.
Did
of the
you
economy
hear
this Friday.
that Missouri was the first state, or I think they might even be the first
State in the union?
no to file a lawsuit against China?
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah.
today.
I wonder if Missouri's like the first out of anybody to file a lawsuit against China.
How does that work?
Well,
The Missouri National Guard is
you could probably
invading China as we
you could
speak.
probably look up an article on that so we can give people accurate information or accurate-ish information.
Well, then I couldn't file for unemployment if I did.
Well, so they're basically blaming China because of this happening, that it's cost us billions of dollars and that they're on the hook for it, which they are. I mean, if
they are pretty well, American intelligence is pretty assured now that it did come out of a lab in Wuhan. Now, it might not have been created a la Resident Evil in a lab, but they believe that they were able to I think what happened, I keep,
just throw her in the cup,
I am not,
drown her.
I do not promote violence against women. So, all right. So, I think basically what went down was they had a bat in a cage flying around that, they caught and squeezed some corona out of it into a petri dish and worked it from there. And then at this point, it's looking like, if you just look at the evidence, it looks like they knew it was there, and either they chose not to shut it down and to let it spread, which would have been the most negligent act in human history after Hitler and Stalin, killing thousands and thousands of people when they knew they could have prevented it, or they really wanted it to happen in its economic get back against Trump and whoever they like in Italy.
I think probably what makes sense, and here we go with our own opinions and assumptions, but what I think happened is I'm pretty sure it came from a lab in Wuhan, like they're saying, because just think about it. For all these years, China has always eaten crazy stuff. I mean, that's part of their culture. They eat like dogs and cats and bats and rats and everything, man. They eat everything, and it's disgusting. It's inhumane. Like, what they do to the animals is just horrific.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been eating like that for centuries. And then all of a sudden, this crazy. Now,
Why now?
Yeah, I mean, we've had other viruses that have
that.
come about, like the flu, the Spanish flu, and all that stuff. But this is the first time I think the entire world's economy, like everything, is shut down.
Yeah.
But I think what happened is that it was in the lab in Wuhan. Patient 0 was an employee there. It accidentally leaked out, and then the doctor that exposed it, he ends up dead.
Interesting. This smells like the Spectre organization.
Right.
From
So
James Bond.
probably what happened is China realized, like you're saying, they realized, oh crap, we messed up. Something happened. This could be bad, but let's try to clean this up before it gets out there to the masses. And unfortunately, it didn't work out the way they planned, and it was devastating to the planet. So now they have to deal with the consequences of what they did.
I think Dr. Evil is behind it.
Dr. Evil.
Mm-hmm.
I love God.
An evil virus?
Dr. Evil. Man, I don't even think people know what
I was just
Austin
thinking
Powers is anymore.
about that. Yeah, it's
That was
From
what
his
that
films
came
in
out in the
history.
90s, right? Like
yeah, it was like 90 something,
95.
mid-late 90s.
Yeah. Yep, Dr.
Yeah.
Evil.
So
Yeah.
here's an interesting thing, and this kind of thing happens to me. These circumstances of coincidence, circumstances of coincidence, they happen to me all the time. All right, so right before this is in drumroll, January. Yes, this is actually in early February. All right, so I'm at this working for a company, and I'm at this conference, which is actually in Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, and got to see the locker room, that the Chiefs locker room, and Patrick
That's awesome.
Mahomes' locker, and he had his jersey in there. They had his jersey in there for everybody to see. So after the tour left, and I was purposely lagging behind, I kind of grabbed the jersey, I almost put it on.
All right, Will, we want to thank you for this book.
Do not provoke violence against women.
Go ahead. So you saw the jersey, you were in the locker room.
And
Where
yeah,
the Chiefs?
And this has nothing to do with a coincidence, but so we're all having this big conference breakfast and listening to speakers from this major, one of the top 20 companies in the United States, and this bat starts flying around the room.
Oh, I remember you sent me
Yeah,
that.
I took video of it that I later deleted because this stupid phone runs out of space quick. The bat starts flying around the room for it's like 10 minutes. And, the speaker stops at first because what do you do? It's a bat flying around the room. And then they realize, well, this bat's stealing my glory. So they just keep on rolling, and this bat swirling around the room. And then we have the bat virus.
Well, it was probably that bat that caused it. That was
It probably
actually
flew from China.
it was probably
By the
like
way.
they probably planned it. They sent it over here like a weapon
Mm-hmm.
of mass destruction. I'm trying to find. Let's see here.
Let's just sit her down. And,
We got to get better props.
better. This is our 10-cent prop. That's all we can afford.
I know you sent me.
Are you scrolling through all your girlfriends right now?
Yeah. No, I don't have any other girlfriends. I'm
Boyfriends?
happily married 6 years, man. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
6 years, one kid.
It's like 2 years longer than the average American marriage now. Median.
Well, marriage is kind of. I don't know what's going to be the future of marriage.
Well, if it goes the direction it has, there'll be fewer of them, and they'll be even shorter. There's going to be this is a good idea. I think that we're reaching a point where the marriage ceremony is going to last longer than the marriage. More money will be spent on the marriage than in the marriage ceremony than in the entire marriage for all costs combined.
Yeah. Well, I found the video that showed the bat, but it was deleted. Like, I didn't think it would be completely deleted from my messenger.
Weird. It's you know what? That's a little.
That's a conspiracy.
That's a little deep state.
Conspiracy.
It's a little deep state. I think China has the technology to eliminate that video.
They probably did. They're probably like, that's their bat. They got loose.
I'm gonna ask the question no one else has anywhere in the last 2 months of this whole thing. Where's Batman in the middle of all this?
Oh yeah, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
It had a little Spanish,
Spanish
Antonio
voiceover of
Banderas.
Batman saying I'm
I'm
Batman in
Batman.
Spanish. Mi amo es Batman.
See.
He's got like his. What kind of hat would Hispanic Batman be
He's
wearing?
got a sombrero with like.
Today's podcast, they talk about coronavirus and Hispanic Batman. Like Batmanoso.
Batman also.
Batmano.
Bandito Batman. Oh man. Dude, I love Mexican food so much.
I know.
And it sucks we can't go to a restaurant and sit down and eat chips and
Yes.
salsa and waste our money.
Now Taco Bell has become the definition of.
Mexican food.
I was just telling the girlfriend this yesterday. I'm like, I don't like Mexican food anymore because I realized that 60% of the enjoyment is going to the restaurant, sitting in a booth, looking at all the different colors throughout the restaurant because it's, Hispanic, love the culture, and eating chips and salsa for free and drinking water, feeling like I'm getting ahead.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, living like a king, man.
Living like a king.
Bring more chips and salsa. Yeah.
Chips. Speaking of chips and salsa, dude, I had a friend of mine back in the day when I was in high school. He worked at a Mexican restaurant called Los Cantoritos. Some of my friends listening will be like, yeah, dude, I remember that place. We used to hang out there all the time. We were regulars. Well, my friend worked
But
there.
after eating, you weren't regular.
That's
And once again, we brought poop into the conversation.
yeah, whatever. No,
Strike two.
So he was the chip boy, okay? So he went and all he did was deliver chips, okay?
By car?
He was fired
By
because he couldn't deliver chips.
You've got one job.
Chips. He was too slow bringing chips to the table and he was fired, man.
If you had the theme song to Chips queued, this would have been a perfect time.
Oh, man, I tell you what.
It's nostalgic.
Yeah.
I'm broke as shit.
Sorry, I love that.
He was after he got fired.
Yeah, well, that was probably, yeah.
This is a good time to talk about my two of my early firings. I've had a long list of firings throughout my
You've been fired.
career of many
Oh,
places.
I need to hear this. Tell me.
Well, I grew up in Joplin, Missouri.
Yep.
It's like a famous small town. And they're notorious for firing people. So I just like to say that up front.
And Joplin.
Right.
Like, they just
Right.
fire people.
Yeah.
So all you Joplin people, you can attest to that.
But on the flip side, I probably could have been a little more loyal employee. Truth was, I didn't really like, call it crazy. I didn't like rolling tacos because, and probably that's why I got fired, because you don't roll tacos, you roll burritos. Now it makes sense. Now I understand. I've got an apology letter to write. So, yeah. So, no, I might have gotten fired from Taco Bell for eating a stray taco or two.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be the
And,
first.
It's one of those things where it's like you swear that God has just got your number on this and he's not letting you get away with anything, because just imagine the visuals. You've got a crowd of 16-year-old death metal listener Taco Bell employees in the back, downing 6 tacos at a time.
Yeah.
And then this guy takes the little taco they use for a sample just away that they then throw away,
Yeah.
which makes no sense. And I put it in a big, sack that we used to go do a lot check to pick up trash. And I'm kind of tiptoeing out the door, and it's, hold it right there. What's in that sack? I'm like, how can you even tell
Yeah.
from there? And so,
That guy's a sack checker.
Cover your ears. And but the problem wasn't getting fired. The problem was going home and telling my father that I got fired.
For stealing tacos.
Yeah. What'd you get fired for? You show up late to work? I can understand going to that. I got fired. You son of a... Yeah, but I rebounded, and in less than a week, I got a job next door at McDonald's.
Ooh, their rival.
And then I got fired in a month from McDonald's.
What were you stealing hamburgers?
Not this time.
You were stealing tacos from McDonald's.
It's an even funnier story.
They don't even make tacos. How'd you? Dad, I got fired.
This one was hard to do, but I
got fired for stealing tacos at McDonald's.
stole a taco at Taco Bell and ate it at my job at McDonald's. Yeah, no one. I remember back in the day that no one ever got fired for stealing nuggets because McDonald's nuggets suck.
Because it's not real food. They're like they don't.
It's everything but the chicken.
Oh.
So, no, this time I distinctly remember it's a little. They do things a little differently now, but there used to be this expo table. They call it in the industry. You'll know what I'm talking about. An expo table. It's where the food goes on, and then the waiting staff or the underpaid 16-year-old McDonald's employees that run the counter get the food from. But they had a top shelf, and you'd put your food up on the top shelf, and you'd yell Big Mac up, Quarter Pounder up, Filet of Fish up. Well, I was doing a Filet of Fish, and I was actually trying to go like twice as fast and do a really good job. This is the sad part about it. You have any sad music? So I make my Filet of Fish.
Don't worry, I gotta put some different effects in. Go
I put it up on the expo counter, and I'm Filet of Fish up, but I put it going a little too fast, and it splat. Filet of Fish down.
Oh, you said that. Yeah. That's all.
I mean, you gotta stay true to your core.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then this happened. All right, you've not all of you, but probably about 80% of us have been there. You go into work one day, and no one's looking you in the eye.
Oh,
Everyone's having conversations, and you get within 5 feet, and all of a sudden the conversations stop, and they kind of don't look at you. And it's like at that point, you get that feeling in your gut, and something's. You're.
it's not
your time
diarrhea.
like Satan, your time is limited. So we got canned right there. And at that point, I realized that if I went home, I might not leave the house for another year. So I determined that I would find a job before I got home because it was still early enough in the day. Well, come to find out later, my parents, right, are all excited that I went out and got a new job and rebounded. And so they go to McDonald's and ask for me. I guess it's kind of good revenge, really, because, the manager had to come in and say, we fired your son. What for? Well, a Filet of Fish fell on the ground.
That's like a forbidden thing in McDonald's. Do not drop a fillet of fish.
So, yeah. So, moral of the story, this is a long story, but.
Yeah, it's going on.
Moral of the story is kids don't do this today. I went to every place imaginable all the way down that was the main street in town. It's called Rangeline in Joplin. I went to like every restaurant in Rangeline, asked for the manager and asked if they were hiring and got a whole bunch of apps. Went to Wendy's, got a promise for a job interview the next day because they were hiring. But I kept going because I wanted to see if I could land something this day. Not this day, back then this day. And I show up at a place called Fortune East. No bats on the menu. And the guy was like, we need dishwasher. Can you wash dishes tonight? Turns out the guy actually lived on my street and I didn't know. But really cool guy named James. And started that evening. And you know what? It was totally a not politically correct environment. It was a small business. The guy hired stoners from my high school.
Wow.
That ended
That's
up
awesome.
being really cool guys. Yeah, and it was laid back and we got the job done. It was one of the best jobs I ever had, and I was washing dishes.
And then you got fired.
You
got fired.
I got fired for eating bat. God, crazy.
That's
why I don't have coronavirus now.
I was
built an
licking the
immunity.
dishes and they fired me. No, so we've been listening to Justin talk about his life and
Please come back to the show if you left us.
So speaking of losing jobs, most of the time I've walked off of my jobs, like, cause I just didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully I don't have any future employers that are like, I'm sitting down at interview and they're like, you're that guy from the podcast that just walked off your job because you didn't want to be there. It's not me. No,
Are you the guy from the podcast that got fired for eating a taco? Get the hell out of here.
Get out of here. No. So Where do I begin? So one time I got fired from well, no, I actually walked out. I worked at this place called Bible Factory Outlet, okay?
You got fired from a
Bible
store.
Factory Outlet. Dude,
Never told a
okay,
story
I
on the
had
date.
I hate working the cash register. I hate being behind the counter cuz I just don't like dealing with people and their personalities. Or there's this one lady, dude, she came in and I had messed up giving her change back, and this was years ago. I was really young. I messed up, and then she freaks out. She's like, "Oh Lord, I can't believe his kids can't even count money these days. This is just ridiculous." I mean, I freaked out, man. I was like, my heart was racing. I was like, this is embarrassing. And so, anyways, I hated that job. And one day, uh, I was really into the heavy metal Christian scene. Like I was
Striper.
actually in a rock band. Like I was the screamer singer. I had my lip pierced, nose pierced. I was a rock and roll dude. It had long hair, everything. And I was going to get my hair colored. I had an appointment for that. Oh, you all right?
Yeah, sorry.
I did the
Mild
same
concussion.
thing. So I was going to get my hair colored, and they wouldn't let me off of work. So I did the responsible thing, and I just walked out of my job.
I mean, you got a hair coloring appointment.
Yeah, that's so ridiculous. So, yeah, that was that job. And gosh, I have so many crazy
Failed
situations.
workplaces.
Yeah, most of them were just me leaving because I couldn't take it anymore. But I don't know. I'm glad. I don't know. I'm glad that I
As he
survived.
throws his headphones off and leaves.
Yeah, I quit.
Well, I guess it'll just be me for the rest of the episode.
I'm done.
So, where's the cricket button?
Oh, whoa, that's the epic one.
Should move it to the green pad. It's because crickets are green.
Oh, that's right. I gotta memorize this thing. But yeah, back to me being in a heavy metal band, Justin. I thought we could make it big in that band.
Me and you?
No, I didn't even know you. I was I was in diapers when you were, and when you were in high school, I was still in diapers.
Jason, I'm
just
30
joking.
years old.
I'm just joking. No, no, I was in a heavy metal band, and we had a good time doing it. It was awesome. But we were just too immature to go forward with it. And I mean, obviously, when you're in a band, you got to be willing to work for nothing for a very long time until you make it. And so
Sometimes 55 years.
yeah, there's people still trying to make it. They're on their deathbed. They're like,
All right, Joe. I think we're going to get our big break.
In heaven.
We're opening up for...
Is Rat still performing?
they're opening up for like a nursing home. Like,
How long till a band calls themselves Wuhan Bat?
ooh, dude. Okay, so just a theory. Back to the COVID-19.
You got
I bet
50
you.
seconds.
I bet you there's going to be a lot of people that name their children COVID. You just watch.
Or Corona.
Just watch. Corona or
Maybe
COVID.
Rona.
Definitely COVID. And middle name 19.
That reminds me, speaking of the name Rona, one of the funniest memes, one of the best memes through this whole thing that I've seen. We need a next show. Let's do like the top 10 memes of the coronavirus. But I love this one. You know, when you wake up and you have that little tickle in your throat in the morning and you're like, is that you, Rona? It's
Right,
I have
Rona.
done that. I have done that. I'm like, I think I have a little cough. I'm like, good. Am I getting the coronavirus? And then you reassure yourself with looking at the real statistics.
Oh, man. Let's see if I can find.
So tell me one quick story about something new that you've done during the coronavirus to stay busy.
What have I done to stay
One
busy?
one quick one.
Oh, I've been.
Well, that's all the time we have
Okay.
for today. Thank you for tuning
He
in.
tried.
Well,
It didn't work.
I don't have the.
Maybe we should like extend or give you like a little finger that you can hang right there, like a mannequin hand, and you can just be like, But I don't know. We got to end this anyway. We're right at an hour, and we don't want to go longer than that. So should we just end it with crickets?
Just good, clean break.
Yeah, it's a clean break. I like it a lot. So we just want to thank you for tuning in to this Can Make Us Famous podcast. That's all we got for you. It's been real. It's been great. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully you lasted this long. You got to witness Justin batter this little.
I'm broke as shit.
Sorry, I love that.
She is in
I
a
love
battered
it.
shelter for women as we speak.
Yeah, well. Stay tuned for episode 3.
That comes after 2, so
It will
got
get
it.
better than this one. I promise you. Maybe we'll have explosions, like
can't get better than
fireworks. What if we had like sparklers?
I might or might not have a quarter stick of dynamite in my home.